Have you ever felt like God isn't there anymore? You keep praying, you keep listening to worship music, you keep saying you believe in him, but deep down, it feels empty. You don't hear his voice like before, you don't feel his presence, and you start to wonder, did I lose my connection with God? Let me show you why you feel far from God, and more importantly, how to truly come back to him, not through religion, but through a living and real relationship with him. It's not that God walked away, it's that your heart got filled with noise. And noise isn't always sin. Sometimes it's just too many opinions, too much comparison, too much social media, too many voices. And when there's so much noise on the outside, it becomes almost impossible to hear what God is trying to say on the inside. Think of your life like a field. Whatever you plant grows. If you plant hours of scrolling, worries, and empty entertainment, what kind of harvest do you expect to reap? The harvest becomes spiritual dryness, disconnection, that feeling of distance. It's the simple law of input-output. What you pour into your mind and your heart eventually shows up in your life. Now think for a second, which of these has been happening to you lately? The Bible feels heavy, like the words just don't go in. Church feels more like a social plan than a home. Serving used to excite you, now you struggle to even show up on time. When you think about God, you feel distance instead of closeness. You still sing the songs, but you no longer connect with what you're singing. If you saw yourself in any of these, breathe. Noticing it is already a step back home. You know when a friendship starts getting cold, but one memory is enough to spark something again. With God, it's the same. Sometimes you don't need to learn something new. You need to remember what you already lived. Remember that moment when you did feel his voice. That day you prayed while crying. That song that used to break you in the best way. That verse that held you together in your worst moment. Do something small today. Play that one song that used to touch you, just 30 seconds. Close your eyes. Let your heart remember what your mind forgot. I'm sure of this. You didn't drift away because you stopped believing. You drifted because something got in the way. Sometimes it's exhaustion, sometimes the routine, sometimes your mind is so full that there's simply no room left for God. Think about this. If a glass is full of dirt, you can pour water all day, but it won't get clean until you remove some of the dirt first. You don't need a huge life overhaul. You just need to remove one small thing that's stealing your connection. 10 minutes less scrolling, a moment of real silence, taking a step back from someone who's pulling you away from God. It's not about being more spiritual, it's about making space to hear him again. You might think returning to God means doing everything perfectly again, but here's the truth. God isn't waiting for your perfection, he's waiting for your honest step. Think of a campfire. You don't light it by throwing a huge log on top. It starts with a spark, something small, then it grows. I'm not asking you to pray for an hour. Start with one real minute. A minute where you can say, God, I'm not okay, but I'm here. I'm not asking you to read 5 chapters. Read 2 lines and carry them with you throughout the day. I'm not asking you to change your whole life today. Just start. You need to identify what's pulling you away from God and remove it. Sometimes it's a show or movie that normalizes sin. Sometimes it's a friend or even someone you love. But if it's pulling you away from God, you have to let it go and move forward. Choose today whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.